The sea roared a merciless beast, swallowing the world in its maw. I clung to a splintered wooden plank, my fingers numb, my body battered by waves that churned like liquid iron. I couldn't swim, a fact that haunted me, as the water surged, pulling at my limbs, threatening to drag me into the abyss. My name is Chloe Walker, and for 10 years I had loved Ryan Carter with a devotion that burned brighter than the sun now lost beyond the horizon. That night, aboard the cruise ship Starlight Serenade, I fought for my life and for his, the man I believed was my future. The ship had struck a reef, its hull splitting with a groan that echoed like a dying wail. Chaos erupted, screams, splintering wood salt stench, and panic. I found a plank amidst the wreckage, my only lifeline in the frigid sea. Ryan was flailing nearby, his face pale, his eyes wide with terror. "Chloe, please help me," he gasped, his voice barely audible over the waves. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from a desperate need to save him. I kicked toward him, the plank slipping under my grip, my arms burning from the effort. Then it came, a shadow in the water, swift and silent. A shark, its jaws, a nightmare of teeth, tore into my leg. Pain seared through me, white-hot, unbearable. Blood clouded the water, a crimson stain spreading like ink. I screamed, but I didn't let go. I dragged Ryan onto the plank with every ounce of strength, his weight nearly pulling us both under. My vision blurred, the world tilting, but I held him, my arms cut and bleeding from the jagged wood. Our friend Emily Thompson wasn't so lucky. Her screams pierced the night, growing fainter until the sea claimed her, leaving only silence. We were rescued at dawn, shivering and broken, hauled aboard a Coast Guard vessel. My leg was mangled, infection already creeping in. The doctors at Jinhai City Hospital delivered the grim news: amputation was inevitable. I lay in the sterile bed, my body a map of pain, but my heart clung to hope. Ryan visited, his face gaunt but his eyes soft. He knelt beside me, a diamond ring glinting in his hand. "Chloe," he said, his voice steady, "you risked your life for me. Marry me. Let me take care of you." Tears welled in my eyes. For a decade I had loved him in secret, my heart tethered to his every smile and glance. His proposal felt like a miracle, a promise that my sacrifice had meaning. I nodded, too weak to speak, and he slipped the ring onto a chain around my neck, my bandaged hands unable to wear it. But the fairy tale shattered a week after I lost our unborn child, a miscarriage that left me hollow. Ryan suggested a cruise to help me relax, his voice warm with concern. I trusted him, my heart still tethered to that hospital promise. We boarded a small yacht, just the two of us, the sea calm and inviting. He approached from behind as I stood at the railing, gazing at the horizon. His hands, once gentle, shoved me hard. I plummeted into the deep, the cold water swallowing my scream. I thrashed my lungs, burning my leg wound, screaming with every kick. Above, Ryan stood on the deck, his face a mask of ice, his eyes gleaming with something dark, pleasure, vengeance. "Chloe Walker," he said, his voice carrying over the waves, "you should know what it feels like to drown too." Truth pierced sharper than the shark's teeth as the sea pulled me under. Ryan had loved Emily, not me. He blamed me for her death, for not saving the woman he cherished. His proposal wasn't love, it was a cruel trap, a slow poison meant to make me suffer. I had been blind, my passion a chain that bound me to a despised man. The waves closed over my head, my body sinking, my heart breaking. I had given everything, my leg, my child, my future, for a lie. As darkness claimed me, I wished for one thing, a chance to do it all differently. The sea's icy grip tightened, pulling me into its depths. My lungs burned, my vision dimmed, and Ryan's cold, vengeful face faded above the waves. As I sank, a strange calm enveloped me, the ocean's roar softening to a whisper. A radiant light pierced the darkness, warm and golden, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. From it emerged a figure, a woman ethereal, her eyes shimmering with timeless wisdom. Her voice, soft yet resonant, echoed in my mind. "Chloe Walker, your heart was true, but your choices were blind. You deserve better. Live again." Her hand brushed my cheek, and a surge of warmth flooded my body, banishing the cold. The light flared blinding, and I gasped, my eyes snapping open. I was back on the Starlight Serenade, the night of the shipwreck. The deck shuddered beneath me, the air thick with salt and panic. Screams rang out as the ship groaned, its hull breached by the reef. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, but my body was whole. No blood, no wounds, no missing leg. The wooden plank bobbed in the churning sea just within reach. It was real. I had been reborn, granted a second chance by some divine force. The woman's words echoed, "Live again." I would not sacrifice myself this time for a man who despised me. The chaos mirrored my past life, but my mind was clear. Ryan flailed in the water, his voice hoarse. "Chloe, please help me." Emily's screams cut through the night, desperate and shrill. In my past life, I had risked everything to save him. My arm shredded by jagged wood, my leg torn by a shark. I had loved him unquestioningly, believing his gratitude would bloom into love. But his betrayal pushing me into the sea, his eyes gleaming with hatred, burned in my memory. No more. I gripped the plank, my fingers steady, and climbed aboard. "Ryan," I muttered, my voice cold, "save Emily yourself. You loved her, not me." The water stung, its chill seeping into my bones, but I kicked toward shore, the plank my anchor. Each stroke was a rebellion against my past self, the naive Chloe who gave everything for a lie. I glanced back once, seeing Ryan struggle, his arms thrashing, Emily's cries fading. Guilt flickered, but I crushed it. Why should I pay for their choices? The shore loomed a distant promise of safety. My muscles ached, my breath ragged, but I swam with a fire I hadn't known I possessed. This was my life, and I would claim it. As I swam, fragments of my past life surfaced like wreckage. I remembered the hospital, my leg gone, my arms infected, Ryan's proposal, a cruel facade. I had loved him for a decade, my heart tethered to his careless smiles, his fleeting glances. I ignored the signs, his ill-fitting gifts, his meticulous care for Emily. I had been a fool, pouring my wealth and soul into a man who saw me as a tool. Now reborn, I saw the truth. Love should not cost me my life. The divine figure's words rang clear. She had seen my heart and sacrifices and given me this chance to rewrite my fate. The shore grew closer, lights flickering on the horizon. My arms burned, but I pushed forward, driven by a vow: no more blind devotion. Ryan and Emily had used me. Their betrayal was the reef that sank my past life. This time, I would protect myself, uncover their lies, and make them face the consequences. The woman's light had awakened me, not just to survive, but to thrive. As waves crashed against the plank, I promised myself, "Chloe, you are enough." The sea could not claim me, not again. The sea churned around me, its waves a relentless assault, but I clung to the wooden plank, my lifeline in the chaos of the Starlight Serenade's wreck. Each stroke toward shore was a defiance of the past, a rejection of the Chloe Walker who had given everything for a man who despised her. As I swam, my mind drifted to my previous life, a tapestry of blind devotion and bitter truths. The divine light that had granted me this second chance, its warmth still lingered in my chest, urged me to see clearly, to unravel the lies that had bound me to Ryan Carter. I had been a fool in that past life, my heart tethered to Ryan for a decade. I met him at Jinhai City Corporation, where we were interns, and our dreams were as bright as the city's skyline. He was charming, his smile a beacon that drew me in, despite his careless gift shoes that pinched makeup palettes I'd never use. I excused them as quirks, believing his heart matched mine. Emily Thompson, our friend from the same hometown as Ryan, was different, timid and insecure, her rural roots contrasting with the city's gloss. I befriended her, shared my resources, and never suspected she was the one Ryan truly loved. The shipwreck replayed in my mind, vivid and raw. I had pushed the plank toward Ryan, my arms lacerated by splintered wood, the sea's salt searing my wounds. A shark's jaws claimed my leg, the pain so fierce I nearly fainted, but I held on, dragging him to safety. Emily's screams haunted me. She was too far, caught in a whirlpool's deadly pull. I blamed myself, thinking that if I hadn't passed out, I could have saved her. In the hospital, the doctor's words were a second blow. My leg was infected, requiring amputation. My arms needed grafts with slim chances of success. Yet Ryan's proposal had sparked hope, a fragile flame I clung to. That hope crumbled when he pushed me into the sea, his voice dripping with venom. "You should know what it feels like to drown," he said, his eyes alight with hatred. I saw then how I had been blind to his gifts to Emily, paid for with my money, blind to his meticulous care for her while he treated me as an afterthought. He baked her fondant cakes and scoured her social media for her favorite trinkets, but I got his indifference. I had poured my wealth into them, apartments, meals, connections, believing it was friendship, love. They saw me as a tool, a means to their ends. Now reborn, I swam with purpose, the shore's lights growing brighter. The divine figure's words echoed, "Your choices were blind." I had let love define me, sacrificing my body, my child, my dignity for a man who never cared. My father had warned me about Ryan, his eyes heavy with worry, but I ignored him, running from home to chase a dream that wasn't mine. My family's love had been my anchor, yet I cast it aside. No more. In this life, I would choose myself. I would protect my heart and future and uncover the truth behind their betrayal. The rescue boat's hum cut through my thoughts. Hands pulled me aboard, wrapping me in a blanket. A Coast Guard said, "You're safe, Miss Walker," but safety felt distant. Ryan and Emily were out there, likely saved, but I felt no urge to check. The Starlight Serenade's crash investigation was underway, whispers of a navigational error floating among the crew. I knew better, something darker was at play. As I huddled in the boat, my leg intact, my resolve hardened. I would unravel Ryan and Emily's lies, expose their schemes, and reclaim the life I deserved. The rescue boat's engine hummed, cutting through the dawn's chill as I shivered beneath a coarse blanket. The Coast Guard's voice was a distant murmur. "You're safe, Miss Walker." Secure, yet the word felt hollow. My body was whole, no shark bites, no amputation, but my mind reeled, haunted by the Starlight Serenade's wreckage and the divine figure who had granted me this second life. I had chosen to swim to shore while Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson fought the waves. Now on the Jinhai City Hospital's sterile bed, I faced the cost of that choice. The doctors diagnosed acute stress disorder. My nerves frayed from the shipwreck's trauma. My hands trembled, memories of my past life's pain, blood in the water, Ryan's hateful eyes flashing unbidden. Yet physically I was unharmed, a miracle that felt like both a gift and a burden. The hospital buzzed with news of the other survivors Ryan pulled from the sea had lost a leg to a shark, his basketball dreams shattered. Emily, caught in a whirlpool, was in a coma, a scar marring her forehead. I felt a pang of guilt for not saving them, but the divine woman's words echoed, "You deserve better." I clung to that, stifling the urge to check on them. As I lay recovering, chaos erupted outside my room. Ryan's mother, Susan Carter, stormed in, her face twisted with rage. "You wretched tramp!" she screamed, lunging at me, her nails grazing my arm before a nurse intervened. "My son's missing, maybe dead, and you're here alive. You abandoned him." Her voice carried to the hall where reporters swarmed, cameras flashing like vultures circling. Susan's accusations hit the internet, a viral video, painting me as a murderer who left Ryan to drown. My phone buzzed with hate messages calling me selfish, heartless, and a disgrace. Strangers smeared my name, their keyboards weapons of judgment. My relatives, caught in the crossfire, faced harassment. My cousin's car was vandalized, her windows smeared with paint. I curled into the hospital bed, the weight of public scorn pressing down. In my past life, I had blamed myself for Emily's death, believing I could have saved her. Now reborn, I saw the futility of that guilt. Ryan and Emily had used me, their gratitude, as a mask for greed. But the world didn't know that, not yet. I shut off my phone, unable to face the vitriol. My father visited, his eyes lined with worry, his hair grayer than I remembered. "Chloe, you don't have to fight this alone," he said, his voice soft but firm. "We'll get through this." His love steadied me, a reminder of the family I had once forsaken for Ryan. The hospital released me with orders to rest, but peace was elusive. Susan's campaign had branded me a villain, and the media frenzy grew. Reporters camped outside my apartment, their lenses hungry to glimpse the heartless Chloe Walker. I learned the Starlight Serenade's crash was under investigation, preliminary reports citing a navigational error. I suspected more. Ryan and Emily's actions felt too convenient, too reckless. My father's company, Walker Corporation, faced scrutiny as I had rented the yacht for the trip. Partners hesitated, deals teetered, and I felt the ripple of my choices. Yet I refused to break. The divine gift of rebirth was not just for survival, but for justice. I sat by my window, the city's lights a distant promise. The public's hatred stung, but also ignited something new: resolve. In my past life, I had let Ryan's lies define me, sacrificing my body and soul. Now I would uncover the truth behind the shipwreck, expose their betrayal, and reclaim my name. My family, though shaken, stood by me. My cousin called, her voice warm despite the threats she faced. "We're tougher than this, Chloe," she said. I nodded, a faint smile breaking through. This was my fight, and I would not let Susan or the world's judgment bury me. The hospital room's sterile hum contrasted with the storm raging within me. Discharged but far from healed, I sat in my apartment, the Jinhai city skyline blurring through my window. The public's hatred, fueled by Susan Carter's viral accusations, clung to me like damp salt air. I was branded a murderer, my name smeared across social media, yet the divine light that had reborn me whispered strength. You deserve better, Chloe. My resolve hardened. The Starlight Serenade's crash wasn't an accident, and I would prove it. A message pinged on my phone, its sender anonymous, but the words chilling. The shipwreck wasn't a mistake. Check the surveillance. My pulse quickened. Before the cruise, I had insisted on installing cameras on the yacht, a precaution born of my fear of the sea. The footage stored remotely had been overlooked in the chaos of the investigation, which pinned the crash on a navigational error. With trembling hands, I accessed the files, my screen flickering to life with the control room's grainy feed. What I saw turned my blood to ice. Ryan and Emily alone in the cockpit, their bodies entwined. Her laughter was coy, his hands possessive as he fastened a diamond necklace around her neck, a Bulgari piece, its price tag far beyond his intern's salary. My credit card statements flashed in my mind. I had paid for their apartment meals and dreams, never questioning where my money went. Ryan's voice dripped with smugness, Chloe's too scared to interrupt us. Their reckless movements jostled the steering wheel, sending the ship off course. The reef's impact followed a deafening crunch captured on tape. They had caused the crash. Their betrayal was not just personal, but catastrophic. My heart pounded rage, mingling with clarity. Emily's rural upbringing had left her hungry for fame, wealth, and a life beyond her small town. I had seen her insecurity as vulnerability, offering her roles in dramas and connections to climb the city's ladder. With his basketball prodigy charm, Ryan had been her perfect partner, both of them using my kindness as a stepping stone. I had been their ATM, my love for Ryan a blindfold. In my past life, I ignored the signs, his tenderness for her, his indifference to me. Now the footage laid bare their deception, a truth sharper than the shark's teeth that once claimed my leg. I leaned back, the city's lights pulsing like a heartbeat. The investigation into the Starlight Serenade had stalled, the Coast Guard citing mechanical failure, but this video changed everything. I could expose Ryan and Emily not just for their betrayal, but for endangering lives. Yet I hesitated. The public saw me as a villain. Would they believe me? My father's words echoed, "You're stronger than this, Chloe." He had faced business losses from the scandal, yet his faith in me never wavered. I owed it to him, to myself, to fight back. I saved the footage, my mind racing with plans. The divine gift of rebirth wasn't just for survival, but for justice. Ryan and Emily had played me for a fool, but no more. I would confront them, demand accountability, and clear my name. The sea had tried to claim me twice. Now I would rise above it, a wave of truth to drown their lies. My fingers hovered over my phone, ready to act. The world would know who the real victims were, and who the villains had always been. The Jinhai city skyline glittered beyond my apartment window, but its beauty couldn't pierce the storm within me. The surveillance footage of Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson in the Starlight Serenade's control room burned in my mind, their reckless embrace, the ship's fatal veer, my money funding their betrayal. The public still saw me as a villain, Susan Carter's viral rants painting me as a heartless murderer who abandoned her son. My phone buzzed with hate strangers' words like knives, selfish, cruel. Yet the divine light that had reborn me whispered courage. You deserve better, Chloe. I would not hide. It was time to fight back. I called a press conference at Walker Corporation's sleek headquarters, and my father's business was a beacon of stability despite the scandal's ripples. Standing before a sea of reporters, their cameras flashing like a storm, I felt my heart race but held my ground. I declared that Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson have 3 days to publicly apologize for their lies and the harm they've caused me, my voice steady. If they don't, I'll release evidence that will reveal the truth about the Starlight Serenade's crash. The room buzzed, skepticism in their eyes. A reporter shouted, "What proof? You're just jealous of their love." I met his gaze unflinching. "You'll see." The internet erupted. Social media branded me shameless, accusing me of chasing fame on Ryan and Emily's tragedy. Emily posted a tearful video, her face pale, eyes red, playing the fragile victim. "I don't know why Chloe's doing this," she whispered, "but I wish her peace." Her fans unleashed a torrent of hate. "Chloe's a liar. She wants their money." My relatives still reeling from harassment, my cousin's vandalized car, my aunt's flooded inbox urged me to retreat. But I refused. In my past life, I had let Ryan's lies silence me. Now reborn, I would speak. My father, James Walker, found me in my office after the conference, his gray hair stark against his worried eyes. "Chloe, this fight's dangerous," he said, his voice soft but firm. "Susan's relentless and the media's ruthless. Let me handle it." I shook my head, a smile breaking through. "Dad, I've hidden too long. I need to do this." He sighed, pulling me into a hug. "You're my daughter, stubborn as ever. I lost you once when you ran off with Ryan. I won't lose you again." His words stung, a reminder of my past life's rebellion when I cut him off for a man who never cared. Now his love anchored me. The investigation into the shipwreck had stalled, the Coast Guard citing mechanical failure, but my footage would change that. I met with my cousin Lily, who had faced threats for my sake. "We're walkers," she said, her voice fierce despite the strain. "We don't back down." Her support, like my father's, fueled my resolve. The public's scorn was a heavy tide, but I would not drown. Ryan and Emily had used me, their lies costing me my leg, my child, my peace in another life. Now I held the truth, a weapon sharper than their deceit. 3 days, I thought, gripping my phone. In 3 days, the world would know who they were. The deadline passed, and no apology came from Ryan Carter or Emily Thompson. Their silence was a challenge, a final act of defiance against the truth I held. In my Jinhai City apartment, the glow of my laptop screen illuminated the surveillance footage from the Starlight Serenade, Ryan and Emily's reckless embrace in the control room, their actions sending the ship into the reef. The divine light that had reborn me seemed to pulse within me, urging action. I had been a fool in my past life, sacrificing everything for Ryan's lies. Now reborn, I would expose them. With a steady hand, I uploaded the video to the internet, its title, "Stark: The Truth Behind the Shipwreck." The footage spread like wildfire, surpassing 10 million views in hours. Social media exploded, the narrative flipping as swiftly as the tide. Comments poured in. "Chloe was framed. Ryan and Emily caused the crash." Colleagues from Jinhai City Corporation, where we had been interns, came forward. "They used Chloe's money constantly," one wrote online. "I heard them mock her behind her back," another revealed. The public, once my judge and jury, began apologizing, their messages, a mix of shame and support. "We were wrong, Chloe. You're the real victim." My phone buzzed with notifications, but I felt no triumph, only a quiet resolve. The truth was out, but the fight wasn't over. Emily stormed to my apartment, her face twisted with fury, her once pristine beauty marred by a faint scar. "You installed cameras on the ship," she screamed, pointing a trembling finger. "You violated our privacy." I stood calm, my voice cold. "That yacht was my father's. I installed cameras for safety. You and Ryan caused the crash with your reckless affair." "Thank you, Emily, for giving me the evidence to expose you." Her eyes widened, her arrogance crumbling. "I'll sue you," she spat, but her voice faltered. "Go ahead," I replied. "The world knows the truth now." My father, James Walker, watched the fallout from his office at Walker Corporation. The company had weathered the scandal's initial blow, but now, with the truth revealed, partners returned, their trust restored. He called me, his voice warm but cautious. "You did it, Chloe, but be careful. They're cornered, and that makes them dangerous." I nodded, gripping my phone. In my past life, I had cut him off for Ryan, a choice that haunted me. Now his faith fueled my strength. "I won't let them hurt us again, Dad," I promised. The Coast Guard reopened the Starlight Serenade investigation, the footage prompting scrutiny of Ryan and Emily's actions. My cousin Lily, who had endured harassment for my sake, visited with a fierce grin. "She said you turned the tide, Chloe," her eyes bright despite the strain of smeared paint on her doorstep. "We're walkers, we don't break." Her words echoed my father's, a reminder of the family I had nearly lost. The public's support grew, but so did the stakes. Emily's fans clung to her, calling the video doctored, while Ryan stayed silent, his absence a shadow of guilt. I sat in my office, the city's lights a testament to my survival. The divine gift of rebirth had given me this moment to stand tall, to reclaim my name. In my past life, I had let shame and love silence me. Now I was a voice, a force. Ryan and Emily used my kindness, wealth, and heart, but they would not break me again. I prepared for their next move, knowing they would fight to salvage their lies. The truth was, my weapon, and I would wield it until justice was served. The Jinhai City skyline shimmered starkly, contrasting the storm brewing in my heart. The surveillance footage had turned the tide, exposing Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson's betrayal in the Starlight Serenade's crash. The public now saw me, Chloe Walker, as the victim, not the villain. Yet Ryan's silence gnawed at me. He hadn't apologized or faced me. I knew he'd try to slither back his charm, a mask for desperation. In my past life, I had fallen for his lies, sacrificing my leg, my child, my peace. Reborn by that divine light, I was ready to outsmart him. I hired Ryan as a sales supervisor at Walker Corporation, a calculated move. My colleagues whispered, thinking I still loved him, but I saw it as a trap. He arrived daily, his smile forced, bringing me breakfast croissants, my favorite. "Chloe, I'm sorry," he'd say, his eyes pleading. I accepted the food, my expression cold, giving him just enough hope to keep him close. Nathan, my father's assistant, watched with a scowl. "Why keep him here, Chloe?" he asked, his voice sharp. "He's garbage." I smiled, a glint in my eye. "To catch a snake, you let it slither into your net." Nathan's concern wasn't new. In my past life, he had quit when I accepted Ryan's proposal, unable to watch me destroy myself. Now his protectiveness was a quiet strength, his dark eyes holding a warmth I had once ignored. He warned that you're playing a dangerous game, but his tone softened. "Just be careful." I nodded, touched by his care. My father James had warned me about Ryan years ago, his gray hair a testament to the pain of my rebellion. Their support alongside my cousin Lily's fierce loyalty, despite her harassment, anchored me. I wasn't alone anymore. My trap sprang when core company files vanished from the safe. Panic rippled through Walker Corporation. Those files were our lifeblood, worth billions. The police swarmed, questioning everyone. I stayed calm, knowing the truth. I swapped the files with fakes, which were rigged to cause catastrophic failure if used. Ryan's guilt was palpable. He avoided my gaze, his hands fidgeting. During the investigation, his phone rang, and it was shrill and urgent. Nathan stepped forward, his voice like steel. "Please put it on speaker, Ryan." Ryan stammered, sweat beading on his brow. I took the phone and answered. "Ryan, you idiot!" A voice roared. "That file you sold me fried our machines. What did I do to deserve this?" The room fell silent, every eye on Ryan. He collapsed to his knees, pounding the floor. Chloe gave me the file. He lied, his voice frantic. "She said I could sell it." I shook my head, pulling up another video on my laptop. Emily's voice filled the room, dripping with disdain. "Ryan's a pathetic freeloader. Only a blind woman like Chloe would fall for him." His face paled, his lies crumbling. "You used me, Ryan," I said, calm but cutting. "And now you've stolen from me. Again." Colleagues gasped, their whispers turning to outrage. Nathan stood beside me, his presence a shield. "You're done, Carter," he said, his voice low. Ryan's eyes darted, searching for an escape, but there was none. The police cuffed him, his head bowed in defeat. As they led him away, I felt no joy, only closure. In my past life, I had let his charm blind me. Now the divine gift of rebirth had sharpened my sight. I turned to Nathan, his jaw tight, but his eyes soft. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, weightlifting, better than ever. The Jinhai city air felt lighter, the weight of Ryan Carter's lies lifted by his arrest. The surveillance footage in his failed theft at Walker Corporation had exposed him as a fraud, and the public's tide had turned in my favor. Yet Emily Thompson remained a shadow, her tearful videos still swaying some with her victim act. In my past life, I had seen her as a friend, her rural roots and timid demeanor masking a hunger for wealth and fame. Now reborn by that divine light, I saw her clearly a manipulator who had used my kindness to climb. Her reckoning was coming. Emily's facade cracked at a business gala where I spotted her clinging to a balding middle-aged man, her gown glittering with designer excess. Her scar was barely visible, her beauty a calculated weapon. I approached, my voice sharp. "Emily, new sugar daddy." Her eyes flashed with panic, her grip tightening on the man, Mr. Zhao. "He's my boyfriend," she snapped. "Unlike Ryan, a useless freeloader you'd only fall for." Before I could retort, a woman stormed over. "Mrs. Zhao is a renowned entrepreneur. You seductress," she roared, slapping Emily hard. "You dared chase my husband." The crowd gasped, cameras flashing as Emily stumbled, her cheek red. Ryan's mother, Susan Carter, joined the fray, grabbing Emily's collar. "You ruined my son!" she shrieked, her rural ferocity unleashed. "He lost his leg for you." Emily's composure shattered, her eyes darting for escape. "I never asked him to save me," she spat, shoving Susan away. The gala descended into chaos, reporters capturing every moment. Social media erupted Emily's sweet image crumbling. She's a liar, post-raid, a homewrecker. Her followers dwindled, replaced by haters who unearthed her past, exploiting my money, mocking me behind my back. I watched from the sidelines, my heart steady. In my past life, Emily's charm had blinded me. I had secured her acting roles, believing her gratitude was genuine. Now I understood her drive, her small-town upbringing had fueled a relentless ambition, twisting her into a parasite. The divine light had given me clarity, and I felt no pity. My cousin Lily, who had endured vandalism for my sake, texted me. "She's getting what she deserves, Chloe." My father James called his voice proud. He said, "You're stronger than I ever was," his support a balm after years of my rebellion against him. The Starlight Serenade investigation gained traction, and the Coast Guard now probes Emily's role in the crash. Her latest video, a tearful plea for forgiveness, fell flat. "I never meant to hurt Chloe," she sobbed, but the public saw through her. Former fans called her a shameless manipulator, and their donations to her are now a source of shame. Emily's career collapsed. Her new patron, Mr. Zhao, cut ties after his wife's outburst, leaving her exposed. Susan, too, retreated, her threats silenced by Ryan's imprisonment and public disgrace. I stood in my office, the city's lights reflecting my resolve. In my past life, I had let Emily's betrayal break me. Now reborn, I was unbreakable. The divine gift saved me and also empowered me to dismantle their lies. Nathan, my father's assistant, stopped by, his eyes warm. "You've turned the tables, Chloe," he said. "What's next?" I smiled, my heart steady. "Justice," I replied. Emily's fall was complete, but the final reckoning awaited in court where the truth would seal her fate. The Jinhai City courtroom was a fortress of stone and silence, its air heavy with anticipation. I, Chloe Walker, stood tall, the divine light that had reborn me, a quiet fire in my chest. The surveillance footage had exposed Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson's betrayal, turning public opinion in my favor. Ryan was in custody for stealing Walker Corporation's files, and Emily's facade had crumbled at the gala. Now the law would deliver the final verdict. In my past life, I had let their lies break me. My leg lost, my child gone, my heart shattered. Today, I would reclaim my justice. The trial began, my lawyer presenting the damning evidence, the Starlight Serenade's cockpit footage showing Ryan and Emily's reckless actions, my financial records proving their exploitation. I had spent 2.7 million yuan on them, apartments, meals, gifts, like the Bulgari necklace Ryan gave Emily with my money. The judge's gaze was stern as Emily took the stand, her once flawless beauty dulled by stress. "Chloe violated my privacy," she argued, her voice trembling but defiant. "I never meant to hurt her." My lawyer countered with Ryan's testimony, his words chilling. "Emily planned it all, using Chloe's money, ruining her name." The courtroom buzzed, Emily's eyes darting in panic. Ryan's mother, Susan Carter, sat in the gallery, haggard. She had once screamed that I was heartless, her viral rants fueling the public's hate. Now she was silent, her threats empty after Ryan's arrest. I met her gaze, my expression calm. In my past life, I had feared her judgment, craving her approval for Ryan's sake. Now I saw her as a woman broken by her son's choices. My cousin Lily, who had endured vandalism for supporting me, squeezed my hand. "You've got this," she whispered. My father James stood by the door, his proud nod a reminder of the family I had nearly lost. The judge ruled in my favor. Ryan was sentenced to 3 years for theft, and his dreams of basketball stardom are forever gone. Emily faced financial restitution, her assets frozen, her acting career ruined. I recovered the 2.7 million yuan, but the true victory was that my name was cleared. The public, once my accusers, now praised my courage. Colleagues at Walker Corporation shared stories of Ryan and Emily's deceit, cementing the truth. The Coast Guard closed the Starlight Serenade investigation, confirming the crash was due to their negligence. Susan left the city, her reputation tarnished, and she could not face the shame. In my office, the city's lights glowed like a promise kept. I reflected on my past life when I had let Ryan's charm define my worth. I had run from my father and ignored Lily's loyalty, all for a man who saw me as a tool. The divine gift of rebirth had taught me my value, not in others' eyes, but in my own. I took a leadership role at Walker Corporation, my father beaming as I signed contracts, rebuilding what the scandal had shaken. Lily's life returned to normal, the harassment fading with my victory. "We're Walkers," she said, grinning. "Unbreakable." Nathan, my father's assistant, stopped by, his eyes warm. "You did it, Chloe," he said. "You're free." In my past life, I had overlooked his quiet care blinded by Ryan. Now I saw his strength, his loyalty. I smiled, my heart lighter. Not just free Nathan, alive. The courtroom had closed one chapter, but another was beginning, a life where I chose my path, truth, and worth. Ryan and Emily's lies were buried, and I stood ready to rise, the divine light, my guide. The Jinhai city skyline sparkled, a canvas of stars mirroring the lightness in my heart. The courtroom victory had freed me from Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson's lies, their betrayal buried under the weight of truth. I, Chloe Walker, had reclaimed my name, strength, and place at Walker Corporation. Yet as I stood in my office, the divine light that had reborn me whispered a more profound truth. Justice was only half the journey. Love, true, unwavering love, was the other. In my past life, I had chased Ryan's hollow promises, blind to the man who had always cared. Nathan Reed, my father's assistant, had been a quiet presence, his sharp wit and steady gaze a constant at Walker Corporation. In my past life, he had quit when I accepted Ryan's proposal, and his departure was a silent protest I hadn't understood. Now reborn, I saw him. He had stood by me through the scandal, his anger at Ryan fierce, his concern for me gentle. "You're playing a dangerous game," he had warned when I hired Ryan, but his eyes held worry, not judgment. I had ignored his warmth, then my heart tethered to a man who saw me as a tool, no more. My birthday arrived, the city aglow with summer's warmth. Nathan invited me to a 5-star restaurant, its candlelit tables a soft contrast to the chaos of my past. He slid a black velvet box across the table, his smile shy. "Open it, Chloe." Inside was a wristwatch, its dial crafted from meteorite, a rare pink diamond glinting at its center. My initials were engraved on the back, a personal touch that stole my breath. "You said you loved stars," he said, his voice soft. "So I brought one down for you." I slipped it on, my heart swelling. No one had ever listened so closely, cared so deeply. I looked at Nathan, his dark eyes holding a warmth Ryan never had. "Why this watch?" I asked, my voice catching. He blushed, rare for the man everyone called the cold vice president. He admitted that I watched you fade for him in your past life. "I transferred 1.1 million yuan to your account when you married Ryan, hoping you'd see your worth. You didn't. I wanted to give you something that says you're enough this time." His confession hit like a wave, gentle but overwhelming. I had been blind, chasing a lie, while true love stood beside me. "Marry me, Chloe," Nathan said, his voice steady despite the nervous spark in his eyes. "What do you think?" The world stilled, the candles flickering like the divine light that had saved me. In my past life, I had given everything to Ryan, my leg, my child, my family, only to be pushed into the sea. Nathan offered something different, a love that saw me, not my wealth or sacrifice. I smiled, my heart full. "Sure, if you can keep up with me." He laughed, grabbing my hand, his grip warm and sure. "I'll give you everything, Chloe." My father James beamed when I told him, his gray hair catching the light. "He's a good man," he said, his voice thick. "I always hoped you'd see it." My cousin Lily, free from the harassment of the scandal, hugged me tightly. "You deserve this," she whispered. The pain of my past, running from family, ignoring Nathan's care, faded in their love. The divine gift had given me justice and opened my eyes to what mattered. I was no longer the Chloe who begged for scraps of affection. I was whole, ready to build a future with Nathan, hand in hand. The Jinhai city skyline glowed, a tapestry of lights, reflecting the peace I had fought for. Years had passed since the courtroom victory buried Ryan Carter and Emily Thompson's lies. I, Chloe Walker, stood in my garden, my daughter's laughter a melody as she chased fireflies. Nathan Reed, my husband, approached with a bouquet of lilies, his smile as warm as the summer evening. The divine light that had reborn me lingered in my heart, a reminder of the second chance that had transformed my life. I had once been a fool, blinded by Ryan's charm, but now I was whole, surrounded by love and purpose. News of Ryan and Emily reached me in fragments like driftwood washing ashore. Ryan, released from his 3-year sentence for theft, returned to his rural hometown with his mother, Susan. They leased a small plot, planting crops and raising chickens, their lives a shadow of his once bright basketball dreams. Susan, who had screamed, "I was heartless," faded into obscurity, her accusations silenced by shame. Emily, unable to live without wealth, chased fleeting bar patrons, her beauty marred by too many surgeries. A scandal abroad ended her. She vanished, her name a footnote in Jinhai's gossip. Their downfall was their own making a consequence of greed that could have been brilliance. I kissed my daughter's forehead, her giggles grounding me. In my past life, I had lost a child to miscarriage, my body broken by a shark's bite, my heart by Ryan's betrayal. I had run from my father James and cousin Lily, chasing a man who saw me as a tool. The Starlight Serenade's crash caused by Ryan and Emily's recklessness had cost me everything, yet it was my rebirth. The divine figure's words, "You deserve better," guided me to expose their lies, reclaim my name, and find Nathan. The Coast Guard's final report confirmed their negligence, closing the chapter on the shipwreck's pain. A news alert flashed on my phone, chilling me. Honeymooners lost at sea, husband escapes alone. It echoed my past life when Ryan's false love led to a loveless marriage, his mother's scorn my only greeting. I had been blind, ignoring Nathan's quiet care, my family's love. Now James visited often, his gray hair bright with pride, as I led Walker Corporation. Lily, free from the scandal's harassment, thrived, her laughter a reminder of our resilience. "We're Walkers," she had said, and we were unbreakable, bound by love. Nathan draped his coat over my shoulders, his hands warm. "What's on your mind, Chloe?" he asked, his eyes soft. I smiled, the sea's distant roar, a memory, not a threat. "If I had lost my leg back then, would you still love me?" His arms tightened around me, his voice tender. "From the moment I saw you, I knew I'd fight for you no matter what." His love was a lighthouse guiding me through the storm of my past. In my blindness, I had missed it, but the divine gift opened my eyes. I was no longer a pawn. I was a treasure, irreplaceable. As we walked home, my daughter was between us, and I reflected on Ryan and Emily's wasted potential. Ryan could have been a basketball star, Emily, a celebrated actress, but greed drowned their futures. Life is vast, and not everyone gets a second chance. I turned off my phone, my heart full. The present was mine, a family, a purpose, a love that saw me truly. The divine light had given me more than survival. It had given me life. "Let's go home," Nathan said, and I nodded, ready for every tomorrow.